born out of it.
Down tonight.
It's not about us being satisfied. What we are looking for is a credible voter register. The communication from UC is just to tell us that because of the court case, they cannot conduct the elections.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Vodafone. The main opposition, National Democratic Congress, is tonight in a desperate race against time to hold this planned presidential and parliamentary primaries this Saturday. A team of party lawyers have been camped at the courts today, desperate to get the court to hear an injunction application this Friday instead of the originally scheduled Monday hearing. Now, former Finance Minister Dr. Kwabena Duffuor had filed the application seeking to injunct the primaries, claiming the party had violated the rules governing the polls. He is demanding a credible voters register. We will get the latest on the NDC's attempt to get an early hearing, but first, the Electoral Commission has been meeting with party executives and representatives of various presidential aspirants. My colleague Samuel Mbura was there and joins me now with details. Who else was part of this meeting with the Electoral Commission?
So, Evans, we had all three representatives of the aspirants for Dr. Kwabena Duffuor, John Mahama and Kojo Bonsu in the meeting. We had the EC chairperson herself, Jean Mensah, and her deputies in the meeting. I saw Otokono, who represents the John Mahama camp, and the election directorate members of the NDC.
We're also learning tonight, Mbura, that Dr. Kwabena Duffuor wrote to the Electoral Commission directly, complaining that the NDC is in violation of the rules governing the polls, and this is just coming to light now.
Yes, Evans, we are learning that the EC held several meetings with the Elections Committee of the NDC. These meetings agreed a set of guidelines to govern the polls. A key guideline was that the register to govern the election would be made available to the contesting parties by the Elections Committee of the NDC at least 7 days before the conduct of the elections. We know that according to Dr. Duffuor's camp, this did not happen at all. So earlier this week, the commission received a letter from the Kwabena Duffuor campaign team alleging various errors and anomalies with the register. In fact, that is the reason the EC called for today's meeting.
So the meeting today came off, but the injunction application changed the focus. We know the EC says they cannot supervise the polls. They've announced that now formally to the party. They've written a letter to the General Secretary, the national chairman of the party as well. Did they say why they are taking the decision not to supervise the polls, considering that this is simply an application for injunction that is yet to be heard by the court?
Evans, so the EC says that they have been served with the application for the interlocutory injunction. The EC was clear to the NDC that it does not want to be cited for contempt, so they have taken the decision not to supervise the conduct of the presidential and parliamentary elections until after the determination of the case by the court.
You've mentioned that Dr. Kwabena Duffuor had a rep in this particular meeting. What has been their reaction?
So, Kofi Kukubo told me that they agree with the decision by the Electoral Commission and they think it is in the right direction.
It's a very short meeting, a meeting of information from the Electoral Commission that they have been served with a writ, so they cannot conduct the election. That's the communication. So until the case is determined in court, they cannot conduct the elections. Otherwise, they'll be cited for contempt of court.
Are you satisfied with the response from the Electoral Commission? Is this what you were looking for?
It's not about us being satisfied. What we are looking for is a credible voter register. So the communication from UC is just to tell us that because of the court case, they cannot conduct the elections.
So what next? What are you going to do?
Well, we are waiting for the party. I mean, things are in the process, so we are waiting for them to unfold. There's nothing else for us to do unless we wait for the unfolding of the process that has been activated.
Well, the NDC is in the real pickle tonight because if you read the Political Parties Act 2000, Act 574, Section 17.2, it says the election of national, regional, constituency executives, officers of every political party shall be conducted under the supervision of the commission, in this case, the Electoral Commission. So the question then arises, can the, in case they are unable to meet the EC's own clear demands that let until this case is settled and determined, they are unable to supervise. Does the NDC have any other option? And will this particular primary come off? Thankfully, we can speak to the party's director of legal, joins us right now, Abraham Maliba. Thanks for your time here on Top Story.
Thank you for having me.
Also joining us is Mr. Kukubo, Mr. Kofi Kukubo, who represents the Dr. Kwabena Force camp. He was actually in this meeting with the Electoral Commission as well. Hello, Kofi. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, before I come to both of you, I'm delighted to say that the Director of Operations at the Electoral Commission, Dr. Siribo Kwaku, has also joined us. Hello, Doc.
Hello.
Hello, Dr. Siribo Kwaku. Thanks for joining us.
Hello.
Yes, Doc. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Thank you for joining us, Doc. Doc, let me start with you to clear up a few things for me before I hear from
Your
the NDC.
line is going off.
It's going off. Is it better, sir?
Hello.
Dr. Kwaku, is it better?
Yeah, it's okay now.
Fantastic. From what I understand, you've now formally written to the NDC on this?
Come again.
You are formally written to the NDC on this matter?
No, we invited them and informed them.
Explain to me that decision. I mean, because this is an application, not an injunction that has been granted by a court. Explain to me the thinking behind the categorical decision to say we can't supervise until this is determined.
Okay. So, normally with respect to Electoral Commission, when there's an application for injunction, we ask you to go and address it. So, when we inform them, the chairperson himself said that he is aware that that is the stand of the commission. So this is not the first time. Once there's an application, we'll ask you to find a way of addressing it. So that's what we do.
And did the party tell you what their plans are when you told them that? How did they respond to you in this meeting?
Now, from what the chairman said, he said that he understands our standard. That is has been understood. So they will go meet everyone and go and address them and get back to us.
So whichever time the party is ready and they communicate it to you, you'll be ready to supervise?
I didn't get that question.
Whichever time the party is ready and they communicate to you, the EC stands ready to supervise?
Yes. As I speak to you, we are ready. We were even going to start distributing the ballot papers today. But for the course. But let me put on record that we have already scheduled a meeting with the party executives, the election committee, and the reps of the candidates, because Dr. Dufour had petitioned the commission. So we wanted to meet them and see how best to address the issue before the injunction came. So we were taking steps to address the differences. But it's not good for you to go and supervise election when you are aware that the people are contesting the register. Because the foundation of any good election is the register. So before even a court injunction, they have written to us and we had invited them to meet. But before we could meet them, the injunction came. So that is the issue.
For the avoidance of doubt, please clarify this for me. Can the NDC go ahead and organize this election without the EC?
The executive elections, this one, the law is non-mandatory for us to supervise it.
As far as the primaries are concerned,
Yes,
there is no legal mandate.
Yes, it's not mandatory. But the executive ones are mandatory.
If we're electing the general secretary, etc., then it's mandated that you should be there to supervise.
Yes, the law is specific. Constituency executives, regional executives, and national executives. But the law does not mention primaries.
And that is the provision I quoted earlier, Political Parties Act 574, Section 17.2. So is this a suggestion then that if the NDC wishes, they can still go ahead and supervise and find a way of supervising and organizing those elections without you?
A lot of the parties, especially the minor ones, the smaller ones, have been holding their primaries without the involvement of the Electoral Commission. They will do that and submit their list to us when it's time for nomination. So you cannot treat them differently.
So that offers some clarity here. So your inability to supervise should not stop the NDC if they have another way of putting this election together and having it, go ahead creditably.
I would not say they should go ahead or they shouldn't go ahead. That is their choice. But if once they said we should do it, I believe that they know the credibility of elections conducted by the Electoral Commission. That's why they invited us initially. So if there are challenges, my advice to them would be that they should address them and they will invite us to come and do it for them. But if they want to do it differently, that is their choice.
Dr. Sribo Kwaku, thank you very much for offering that clarity on this particular matter. He's a Director of Operations at the Electoral Commission. I still have with me right now the Director of Legal for the NDC, Abraham Amaliba. I know today your team of lawyers have been in the courts trying to get an abridgment of time. Have you been successful?
Yes, I can confirm to you that we filed the application for abridgment of time, and that has been fixed for Friday. We actually wanted it like tomorrow, but the registry indicated to us that that is difficult because of some issues relating to scanning of the processes that will have to take place, and then the judge who is going to preside must also have foreknowledge of the process. And so the available time is Friday, so it has been fixed for Friday.
So the court will hear the application on Friday?
That is so.
Okay. And your wish, and you'll be praying the court to set this aside, to throw it away?
That's so, because if you look at the balance of inconvenience, the party will suffer greatly. The party has invested so much money in this thing. Don't forget that delegates have started moving to their centers. Those in the island communities who have to travel on the river for a day and then go and sleep over, because these boats don't travel on the waters every day, have started moving. So if you look at the combined effects of what the party has spent, and then you look at the hardship, surely is the party that will suffer. So we'll canvass those positions.
But what about the fundamental argument by Dr. Kwabena Dufo and his team that they've only moved the processes to injunct because of irregularities, namely the incomplete register?
Look, 4 years ago, I was a member of the elections committee when 6 contestants were on the ballot paper in our primaries. There were similar agitations. What we did was to invite them to a meeting. They brought their IT experts. The party brought its IT experts and went through the process. I am telling you, what Dr. Dufo is complaining about, if you lock people in a room from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., they will resolve those matters. The matters is talking about duplication of pictures. Why? You work with computers. When there's a duplication, don't the computer tell you that they're late? Why should you go to court on that matter? He complains about 7,000 people who are on the register, meaning that it's bloated. When what they did was just to take the number of branch executives, multiply them by the number of polling stations, got their figure, and did not include constituency executives who are supposed to vote, regional executives who are supposed to vote, national executives who are supposed to vote, did not even include the category that Dr. Kufuor comes from, that is former appointees, MPs. They did not include them. Then you come out with a figure that is the bloated figure. So I'm saying that this action, I have said already, is mischievous, frivolous, vexatious, meant to, as it were, thwart the effort of the NDC in its forward march to capture power.
You make a point that the issues they've raised can be resolved if you put people in the room for hours. But the reality as we speak tonight, that hasn't happened and it hasn't been resolved.
So you ask why it hasn't happened. On Thursday last week, there was a meeting. On Monday this week, there was a meeting. There was supposed to be a meeting yesterday. But because they ran to court, that meeting never took place. So, are we not supposed to sit and deal with those matters? So if one person decides that I will not sit with you, how do you get those matters resolved?
I mean, but the evidence doesn't back the claim that they've decided not to sit, because last Thursday they sat. 2 days ago, there was another meeting they attended. So I'm wondering where you say they have refused to come to resolve this.
I'm saying that one of the issues, which is that they were given photo albums of 220, and that the remainder 47 has not been given to them. As of yesterday, those albums were ready. As we speak, they are lying in the office. So if they had attended, that would have been given to them.
So the outstanding 47 they mentioned is ready. Okay.
Already. They are lying in the office. So, look, it is with the fullness of time that we'll get to know why these suits and who are behind these suits. That's what I can say.
What do you think is actually happening here?
I don't know. Why? It is only when the frog dies that you know it's full left. So with the fullness of time, we'll get to know. Because these are matters that are resolvable. You write a letter to the party complaining of certain mishaps or certain grievances. The party invites you for a meeting. You don't attend. And then you run to court.
Amaliba, so the Electoral Commission confirms today that part of the rules that was agreed between the EC and your party's election committee was that you will give all aspirants the voters register, a copy. You give them a copy 7 days before the conduct of the elections. That rule has been violated.
We are governed by our guidelines, the NDC guidelines. We are not governed by Electoral Commission rules.
No, I mean, this is not Electoral Commission rules. I'm saying
yes.
The Electoral Commission said, just to clarify.
Preamble, I'm coming.
Okay.
Now, our guidelines do not talk about photo albums. Our guidelines are talking about delegates list. And I can tell you, without any hesitation, that the delegates list was made available to all aspirants way back in March. The guideline says that after the vetting, and you are sure of those who have qualified, make available to them the delegates list. I am saying the delegates list have been made available to them. You see, they are quiet on the delegates list. If you check their rate, that is what it will be used to do the election. Now, the photo album is only the creation of the party to enhance the fairness, the process, to ensure that the process is fair. So the photo album, which they are calling the register, it's not the register. But in any case, I have just told you, that register is ready.
Okay, stay with me,
so
Amaliba.
The list of delegates has been ready since March.
Stay with me, Amaliba.
They have been finished.
You stay with me. Kofi Kukubo, so Abraham Amaliba is just updating that the outstanding 47 that you've been asking for, as far as the register is concerned, has been ready since yesterday. Have you been called to pick it up?
In actual fact, we have not been asking for the remainder 47. It is the elections committee that promised us on the 4th of May that the remainder 47 will be ready on the 8th of May, which was Monday. So when the 47 remainders are ready or were ready, they will call us to come to a meeting to take delivery of the remainder 47. Indeed, we honored, they called us verbally through Jibril Mahdi. So we honored that invitation with the expectation that we are going to take delivery of the 47 remainder constituents. However, we had also to present the anomalies and the incomplete nature the voter register, especially the photo album, because according to the Elections Committee, it is a photo album or the voter register, just like what the EC displays on voting day. The same thing will apply. So we're going to display it. It is that's the document for validation of anybody who is coming to it. Now, on the 8th of May, we were there with the challenges or the inaccuracies we even found in the 220 constituencies that were submitted to us. So we presented those inaccuracies to them. After receiving our report, they decided to hold on with the remainder 47 constituencies. So if Amaliba is saying that a meeting was arranged for the 47 constituency, remainder of the 47 constituencies, and would not attend that meeting, Amaliba should just show evidence of the meeting. It should show evidence of the invitation, whether by phone calls or whether by text, just to prove the point. But I don't know why he keeps repeating that we refuse. We honored. We even called for the meeting. Yeah. So we honored every single meeting. So why is it that we're invited for a meeting? I refuse to attend. We are demanding for those documents.
Yes, more substantively, Kofi. He now says the 47 constituencies are now ready. I wonder if you've been called to pick it up?
We have not been called.
But if it's ready...
That is what I've been stating. We have never been called after 8th of May. Since Monday, we have not received any official or unofficial, verbal or non-verbal or documented invitation to state that 47 remainder are ready. Nobody has been called. So I don't know why Amaliba is repeating this lie constantly. It's not fair.
Okay, now, you've not been called formally, but you've had it here. Will you be picking it up?
We have not been called. Amaliba is not a member of the elections committee. The election committee has set up a structure. So those people who invited is Jibril Mahdi, who always calls her. Even when the meeting is approaching, he calls to remind us of the meeting. So we deal with Mahdi in terms of invitation, whether verbally on phone or whatever. So long as Mahdi calls, we honor the invitation.
I'm pretty sure.
So none of that nature. The chairman, the acting chairman, the acting director, Mahdi or whoever, nobody has called her.
I'm pretty sure you heard him say that he's now secured that abridgment of time. That process you file will now be held on Friday. Give me your response to that.
We don't have any challenge. We trust in the judgment of the courts. We have abundant evidence to prove that the voter register is incomplete and at the same time it is full of inaccuracy. We have abundant evidence. We have the evidence.
What would it take for you to withdraw the case or settle this out of court?
We have, you see, in our letter, the original request is that let's meet at the round table because this does not only affect Dr. Komana before, it affects all the three presidential candidates. But the most important people that this inaccurate and incomplete register is going to affect most is the delegates, the grassroots people who are desirous to vote for the right person to represent them in 2024. So we are insisting that their right should not be denied them. So also the right of all the three candidates should not be denied. So we are only asking for credible register that will guarantee free and fair election for all. Because after this election, if the election is won rightfully, to the right means, to fairness, to free means, that means the person who wins that primaries has the credibility to rally the party behind him to win 2024. But as of now, when we go into election with that inaccurate and incomplete voter register, we are going to create chaos. We are going to create division. We are going to create disunity. And I don't think this situation is what we want going into election in 2024. A divided and disunited party cannot win any election. And one of the critical and fundamental ways of ensuring that is to guarantee free and fair election with credible voter register.
Amaliba, you heard the Electoral Commission Director of Operations say that you actually do not need the Electoral Commission to supervise your primaries for you. It's not mandated. It's not a legal injunction. You have the court hurdle to cross on Friday. Does that offer a window where the a party can, because this is an application, the party can go ahead and organize this primary?
Well, let me react to his statement that this action was brought on behalf of the delegates. Indeed, the delegates are livid. They are angry at the action brought by Dr. Dufour. Our phones have been ringing all day. And delegates know how to resolve their issues. The delegates, if they were excluded, would have petitioned the party. So this action is for their benefit and their benefit alone. Now, the EC's position is right. But you can even see that in the organization of the elections, which is done by a committee of the parties, see how rancorous it has become, let alone if we say that the party should go and organize the election or supervise the election. It is for this reason that we think that the EC must come in. And so, yes, we know, the party knows, the legal team knows that the supervision of the EC is limited to only constituency, regional, and national elections. The National Executive Committee members. But we still think that for transparency's sake, for credibility's sake, the EC should come in. I'm not surprised at the EC position because I had already told members at FEC yesterday that if the EC is served, the EC will stay its hands off. And so what the EC has done is, for me, not surprising at all. But Friday, when we go to the courts, I think that we will know our way forward. So that is what will happen.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim Maliba. Thank you very much, Kofi Kukubo. That's controversy rages on. No resolution inside as we speak. I think it's as we stand tonight. It is the courts on Friday that will decide the fate of the presidential and parliamentary primaries for the NDC. This is Joy News, your election headquarters.
Ever visited a shop, picked a whole basket of provisions, toiletries, and very essential things you need, battled a long queue to finally pay, only to be told you can't pay to a merchant number? The way that thing they pay, but with Vodafone Cash, there is no problem. Now on Vodafone Cash, you can pay all merchants on all networks. Easy peasy. Aye straight. Aye direct. Aye sharp. From your Vodafone Cash wallet to any merchant number on other networks. So whether you are buying provisions or fuel, medication or food, whatever the service or need, just pay conveniently from Vodafone Cash to any merchant's number. Simply dial *110# to make payment to merchants on other networks today. Vodafone.
Wouldn't you prefer an apartment hotel? One that offers the utmost convenience of a boutique hotel while offering the idyllic comfort of your own private home. Oasis Park Residences offers luxury studios, 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms, both for short and long-term rental at competitive rates. Our sky swimming pool, gourmet outdoor restaurant, and a fully equipped gym rest on a breathtaking rooftop with panoramic views of the city. Oasis Park Residences, located at Shiashi Tetekwashi, 10 minutes from the international airport, is the ideal place for all your accommodation needs. Why don't you give us a call on 020-4343-009 or visit our website at oasisparkresidences.com to make your reservations. Oasis Park Residences, more than a home.
Okay. If I leave work now, I can beat traffic, get takeaways for dinner with the girls, and be on time to pick up Sam and his mom from the hospital. Proud to belong to APSA.
We know that life is go, 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 and that it's hard to make time for the things that really count. That's why with APSA's digital channels, you can bank when, where, and how you want, so you can focus on what or who is important to you. Get things done simply with our digital channels. That's Africanacity, that's APSA.
Good evening and welcome to News Night. Tonight, over 4,000 students out of school in the Kpong Katamanso cluster of schools due to the dilapidated nature of their school building.
And the building is shaking, so we are afraid of our children's life. So right now, as I'm speaking, our children are in the house. The Form 1, Form 2 are in the house. It is only Form 3 who are writing the mock. That is basically the reason why they are in the school.
We'll get to hear from some of the students who say the state of the classroom block is affecting their preparations for the upcoming BECE.
My ability to study is not going on well because as now the building is vibrating and there's no way we can move there to learn.
Meanwhile, Ghana School of Shame Season 2 reaps the desired results as the Municipal Chief Executive of Nanumba North commits to procuring furniture after a child appealed for decent education in a rural school.
As you can see, some of us don't have uniforms. Even me, I don't have any decent uniform. And we sit on the floor to learn.
Also tonight, I feel used and let down by my nation after 38 years of service. Retired Commodore of the Ghana Armed Forces laments the non-payment of bonds as he joins the third day of fresh picketing by the Pensioner Bondholders Forum.
Because the body has been used, and I will say by the government. For almost 40 years, over 38 years that I served the Ghana Armed Forces.
Tonight, the forum serves notice to government to prepare to pay additional interest on all locked-up mature principals since February 2023.
And when we get the payment, we will write to government to calculate the interest on those principals and pay.
And slowdown in rate of increase in prices of non-food items pushed inflation rate for the month of April to 41.2%, the fourth consecutive decline for this year.
And in sports, the Joy Sports UCL Pub Series is on the road again. Tonight, we are at Oliver Twist for AC Milan versus Inter Milan, a cracking derby della Madonnina for a place in the Champions League final. We're back at 6:30 p.m. with build-up.
Oliver Twist. Indeed.
We get ready to get there. Yeah. I can't wait to go there, actually.
No wonder we are asking for more of the Pub Series.
That's right. That's right.
Twist. More of that at 6:30. Join us with your views and comments, 055-11-11997.
And tonight, while the government is doing all it can to eradicate schools under trees, thousands of junior high school SHS, that's the JHS 3 students of Katamanso Municipal Assembly cluster of schools at Zeno have deserted their classrooms to study under trees. Here's why. This is due to the fear of a possible collapse of their weak classroom blocks, which was built and handed over less than 7 years ago. My colleague Carlos Caloni visited the school and has come through with this report.
Built and handed over in 2016, these classroom blocks, which serve over 6,000 pupils, can best be described as a disaster in waiting. Apart from its leaking roofs, one could feel vibrations all over with deep structural defect coupled with shattered louver glasses. Students here say they have been compelled to vacate the classroom blocks due to the fear of a possible collapse of the fragile structure on them. According to them, they are unable to concentrate in class whenever it rained due to fear and the leakages in the roof, which leads to destruction of their learning materials.
My ability to study is not going on well because, as we know now, the building is vibrating and there is no way we can move there to learn. And as we are under the tree now, there are some insects and certain things on the tree that are, falling on us. And so we don't have the access to even concentrate on what the exams we are writing. We don't concentrate on it.
I quite remember we were in the class and then the number 2 teachers actually came out that we should come out of the class because the building was shaking. We all got afraid and then came out of the classroom. Because of that one, our Form 1s and then Form 2s are not in school. We are the only people in the school. And the building 2 is just there. No one is in the classroom.
The roof is leaks. So this destroy our books. When we are writing the exams and it's raining, sometimes we have to stop the papers.
Joy News caught up with some parents who say the government must, as a matter of urgency, come to the aid of the school.
My children are in Zeno KKD and the building is shaking. So we are afraid of our children's life. So right now, as I'm speaking, our children are in the house. The Form 1, Form 2 are in the house. It is only Form 3 who are writing the mock. That is basically the reason why they are in the school. They are sitting outside the school. When it's in the afternoon, the sun will just be scorching on them, and they will just be sitting here. So we are pleading to the government that they should come to the children's aid.
The building is shaking.
One thing is Form 1 and Form 2, they have gone home already.
The over 140 teachers who run the school are equally being affected, as they have also deserted their staff common rooms to pitch camp on the corridors. Speaking to Joy News, the Katamanso Municipal Director of Education, Harry Evans Arthur, says the decision to vacate the facility was an interim measure to avert any disaster and to also get the weak structure fully fortified.
We have 4 schools that currently use that one-story building facility, ZNU 2, 4, 5, and 6 GHS. But quite recently, they have been experiencing vibration on the facility. They had to conduct a structural integrity test. Just about a week ago, we realized that the vibration still persists. So that informed us to take a decision as to how to find remedy to that. We had to put in some measures to ensure that we still have the school running while taking time to fortify or reinforce the facility. A classroom that under normal circumstances should have taken 40 or 50, you go and there are 80 and some even 100 in one classroom. It's a challenge. And I want to use this opportunity to appeal to individuals or groups of individuals, corporate bodies and institutions to come to our aid.
From the KKMA cluster of schools here in the Katamanso municipality, my name is Carlos Scaloni for Joy News.
Let's bring in the Municipal Education Director of the Katamanso area, Harry Evans Arthur. Thank you so much for joining us here on Newsnight. So, clarity, how long has this situation persisted?
Thank you. Good evening, and good evening to all your cherished listeners. This problem has persisted for less than a month now. We initially received the first report somewhere in the middle of April. So quickly we reported to the Municipal Assembly, and then the Assembly also directed the engineers to go and conduct structural integrity test on the facility.
And let's talk about this particular structural integrity test that was conducted by the Municipal Assembly. What exactly did it reveal?
Hello?
I'm asking what the structural integrity test revealed.
Yes, they realized that there is this challenge that has to do with the sinking nature of the building. So they recommended that we vacate the facility for them to work on the facility, and which we did. So last week, Thursday, we realized that the vibration came again. That is what forced us to ask the students to vacate the facility. As I speak to you now, we have done that, and together with the Municipal Assembly, we have been able to secure a place for the Form 1 and 2s to move in for academic work to continue over there.
That's something we'll get into, Mr. Arthur. That's something we'll get into shortly. But let me find out which contractor was in charge of this, and is there anything or any action in particular that the Municipal Assembly will be taking against whoever constructed this building?
Okay. We came to meet the building completed, and I wouldn't know the contractor that actually did that work. But when you go to the Municipal Assembly, I believe there will be records available to show the particular contractor who was given that contract.
Now, what then happens to these children? How many exactly are they? At the last count, how many students under your care have been affected by this?
There are 4 schools that currently use that particular building. So we are talking about a little over 2,000 students here. So as I speak to you, as I said earlier on, the Form 3s, currently we've managed to secure them rooms in the other blocks in the cluster of schools. So the 1 and 2s, there is a private school around the same neighborhood. The school is more or less defunct. So together with the Municipal Assembly, we've been able to secure that place, and the 1 and 2s have been moved in. So beginning tomorrow, that is where they will be attending school. The Assembly has also awarded a contract to another contractor that moved in this morning to work on this building that is vibrating. So the contractor moved to site this morning and work has earnestly commenced.
We heard from some students and mothers or parents as well who raised concerns about how this is affecting the preparation of their children in terms of the upcoming BEC. What assurances are you able to give?
Obviously, they would have to raise those concerns. They have the legitimate right to do so, but they should be assured that we have put in measures. This is a temporary measure. The phone trace were never affected. This incident that occurred on Thursday, it never affected the Form 3 students. Quickly, we managed to get them room, so they continued with their studies because in less than no time, they would be writing their final BEC. It was the Form 2 that had to go home for 2 or 3 days. But as I've told you, they are coming back to school tomorrow to continue with their academic work. We have to make sure that we no longer lose, precious instructional hours. So they are coming back to school tomorrow. So parents who were expressing those concerns, yes, we want to make sure that those fears are allayed. Their students are in safe hands, and from tomorrow onward, 1 and 2s are also coming back to school.
We'll keep our eyes there at the Katamanso area. Thank you so much. That's Evans Arthur, is the Municipal Education Director of the Katamanso Education.
Still on education, Emefa, we take you up north where the Municipal Chief Executive of Nanumba North, Abdullah Yakub, says the Assembly will push for the procurement of furniture for schools located in rural communities to give children a decent education. He says the Ministry of Education has already requested an update on the matter, assuring the Assembly will follow up. But what really triggered this? Listen to this report by Joy News Features editor Jojo Carpenter, where an 11-year-old girl shed tears and pleaded for government to provide them with furniture.
Children slumming on the bare, dirty floor in the name of education is common in many rural communities across the country. The pupils improvise by squatting, lying on their bellies or assuming weird positions on the floor just to get an education. The Bakwaba Primary School in the Nanumba North District of the Northern Region is one of the schools with a furniture problem. About 6 classes sit on the bare floor to study. For many years, the nursery, kindergarten, all the way to primary 5 do not have furniture. Odanjo Gifty is a primary 5 pupil. To get access to a desk, she comes to school very early in the morning. The furniture situation here is based on a first-come, first-served basis.
Just look at us, lying on the floor just because we want to learn. And it's not the best. We are appealing to government to come to our aid. My friends and I wash our uniforms daily because there's no furniture. When it rains, we are compelled to sit in a small structure. Because the building is small, we get beaten by the rain.
At this point, tears cloud her eyes, and shortly after, all emotions she had bottled up finally let loose.
As you can see, some of us don't have uniforms. Even me, I don't have any decent uniform.
Where there's help on the way after that report, listen to the Municipal Chief Executive for Nanumba North, Abdullah Yakub.
My prayer, because I think last month data was collected from us, from the Ministry of Education, concerning the furniture situation in the municipality, which was given. And I also know that the Member of Parliament also demanded the same information which was given to him. And everyone has seen what is happening. And I think it is enough for everyone to know that the situation in the Nanumba North municipality as far as furniture is so appalling. So I am coming to follow up Thursday or Friday to find out what is being done. But in our own small way, we are also trying to, in the assembly, our plan is that we are coming to stop constructing new schools and renovate the old smooth so that at least it will be in good shape. Apawu is one of the old schools in the municipality, and for a very long time, some of the buildings have not seen renovation. So next year, our plan is to renovate most of the old structures to make them be fitting for education, whilst we expand or increase our budget line for furniture in the assembly, so that some of these problems can be resolved, if not completely solved.
And that there is the DCE for Nanumba North, Abdullah Yakub. So live here on Newsnight, 99.7 FM on Joy. Now, I feel used and let down by my nation after 38 years of service. That's the story of a retired Commodore of the Ghana Armed Forces who is tonight lamenting the non-payment of bonds when he joined the third day of fresh picketing by the Pensioner Bondholders Forum.
Government that they would demand interest payment on all matured principals since February this year. My colleague James Aveji joined the pensioners as they picketed relentlessly the Finance Ministry's premises. There's more in the following report.
It's been days of total silence from government, but members of the Pensioner Bondholders Forum resumed their picketing Wednesday. Among them was Commodore Samuel Redu-Anim, retired. He explained how he ended up investing in government bonds.
What I thought I was advised without any aches was the government bonds. I didn't want too much, just a little to first and foremost look after my health and those who rely on me. My mother is with me. Yeah.
How old is she?
She's past 100, yes. And I have some children and other people I'm looking after. So I do not intend failing them in this responsibility.
The retired soldier says government's inability to pay his coupons amid his failing health makes him feel used by the state.
Maybe we could have gone on a route march, but look at us. I'm drinking some water. During those days when I was in the Ghana Armed Forces, for a period like this, no water was required. But for this little duration, you see, I'm holding water, drinking water, because the body has been used, and I will say by the government. For almost 40 years, over 38 years that I served the Ghana Armed Forces. During my time, I did my best. And my best was amongst the best, both within the country and outside the country. The missions that I went to, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Cambodia, all these places, I didn't feel the country. I did not feel the country. And I'm expecting that the country, at this stage of my life, will not fail me.
Other bondholders have also been narrating how the lack of funds have distorted their plans.
These ladies are both mentally challenged. They need their medication. Without their medication, this lady might have a stroke. This one, me and her will strip naked and go on the streets and shout. We'll do it together. I'll support her. She needs her medication on a daily basis.
You mean if they go on the street, you would go with them?
I will go with them. I will go with them.
I was waiting for the coupons to take care of myself and my old mom, who is 84 years. Right as I'm talking to you, my mom has come all the way from our village. And she stay with me. I don't have much money to take care of her. And every day, my mom wake up and they ask me, "Kwesi, sika na njaban duya Kwesi, today be me mama otiminchen otifie, minyesika ema emfanhwe no."
Reiterating the challenges of the pensioners, convener of the group, Dr. Iduan Anentwi, said government must prepare to pay additional interest on the matured principals.
And when we get the payment, you write to government to calculate the interest on those principals and pay. If government doesn't pay, we may have to send the matter to SHRAG and ask a state institution to come and defend us that, look, you can't do that.
The group returns Thursday to continue picketing. James Kwesi Aveji's report read to you.
Well, the Finance Ministry is yet to meet with the Individual Pensioners Bondholders Forum after 3 days of picketing. Let's bring in Dr. Duana Nientri, who is a convener of the group, joins us right now. Doc, please update us. You're doing this because you want a hearing. Have you been heard yet by the Finance Ministry?
No, so far not. But at least since we started, we have seen some payments coming.
You also added today that now you also added today that when your outstanding principals are now being paid to you, you're going to be demanding interest, correct?
Sure.
But is that a realistic demand when you don't even have your principals in the first place and coupons? Government is struggling at the time of economic crisis.
Yeah, we haven't received the payment, but we're also saying that it is not right for the issuer to keep our money in the first maturity for close to 80 days now. It's 79 days. And the issuer cannot use money for free. You must pay interest on it. And so we are saying that the way this interest, these coupons has been delayed, we are likely to demand interest on the outstanding. And I want to say that years back when some of us started buying treasury bill was 30 days. The beginning one, 30 days. Government was issuing 30 days treasury bill. So you borrow 30 days and pay interest. So we don't understand why you should keep people's money for 80 days without paying interest. So we would demand that interest if we want to, because we are entitled to it, that you have kept our money. This is the principal, not the coupon. The principal which you should return to us. For us to reinvest, you are keeping it. And at this current level of inflation, you are just destroying the capital of people. So we are saying, we are looking at that, whether we should ask for the government to pay interest because it has delayed so much.
Okay. Also joining us is Senor Hossi, who is the convener of the Individual Bondholders Forum. Mr. Hossi, I know this week when we last spoke to you, you had reached a tentative agreement at that technical committee level that was yet to be signed off. I think you indicated this possibly could happen by close of this week. Has this been signed off yet? And has the finance minister himself also signed off on it?
Yes, good evening, Evans, and your listeners. We have signed off on our technical committee report as a summary version, which we'll be making public later tonight. And the minister is supposed to consider it, and hopefully by end of week or worst case scenario, early next week, we should actually have him also consent to it or make any necessary modifications that may work for both parties. So we await the progress of that particular phase. We also expect to have a meeting maybe prior to him firming up his position on the matter.
And if you don't mind bulleting the key agreements in this technical committee report that the finance ministry minister is awaiting to sign off on.
Okay, so the key thing is one, for him to consent to the arrears payment plan. Also for him to also consent to the proposal to convert principals that are due to treasury bills, and also consent formally to paying coupons prompt effective the set arrears cut-off date, which is supposed to be 1st June. So we hope to have that done, and also for him to authorize the implementation process, which would require us to have some legal documentation made public, negotiated and made public, made available to every individual bondholder. And with this, I mean both pensioners and non-pensioners. Anybody who is an individual bondholder would have access to this particular offer. And you would have to make an individual decision for yourself as to whether that model works for you. As we've indicated, should this really work out, this gives us a more reliable way of trying to deal with the current non-payment crisis, and also create a balance between our needs and also government's liquidity crisis, as government communicated to us during the technical committee briefings. I always tell people it's one thing to have your right, it's another thing to be able to exercise that right effectively or efficiently. We have to find a tactful balance between the two and make sure we have a win-win situation.
Okay, Senor, thank you very much. I just ran out of time on this. This is something I will expand on as we get further clarity with the finance minister's signature on that particular document. Senor Hossi is convener of the Individual Bondholders Forum. Earlier, you had Dr. Edu Ananianchi, who is the convener of the Individual Pensioners Bondholders Forum.
Now on to some other stories, and this evening the Attorney General Godfred Yeboah-Dame is refuting claims that his government is clandestinely using court litigation to halt the Rights and Family Values Bill 2023. A private citizen, Paul Boama-Sefa, has dragged the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbing, and the Attorney General to court over the anti-LGBTQ plus bill. The farmer in the Ashanti region in his writ cited by Joy News alleges that the Speaker and the Attorney General have violated the Constitution in their handling of this particular bill. But Godfred Yeboah-Dame says in spite of the media publication, he is yet to be served with a writ supposedly copied the Speaker of Parliament. The Minister for Justice is also rebuffing claims that the government may be using shady characters through court litigation to slow down the process.
Well, I've not been served with the action. It's a matter of record. The Office of Attorney General has, up to the day or the time I entered this room, not been served. So I don't know the nature of the action in fact. But of course, we stand ready to defend any action that is brought. And my opinion is as fully set out in the letter I gave to Parliament last year. So within the constraints of that, we defend the action. Well, I think it's also important to place on record that Parliament, after the receipt of my letter, this amendment to the bill, even the title, changed. Everything about the bill from the title up to the very last sentence changed. So I don't know the nature of the bill as it is before the House now. It's just been laid before Parliament for the second reading. And I think Parliament sees with all the functions that it has under the Constitution will do the needful. So let's see how the parliamentary process of passage of legislation goes.
And finally, the rumors that it is government that is sponsoring someone to go to court to stop it. How do you react to it?
I think that's very offensive.
That's Godfred Yeboah-Dame there interacting with the media. He's also been talking about some issues that have been raised by the former President John Dramani Mahama. We'll bring that to you subsequently. Let's bring you sport and business. And then we get ready. I can't wait for the pop series this evening. Have you been to Oliver Twist before?
No, I think I need to head there.
You are missing.
I have to go there. Just to watch the football. Will there be free food? I need to ask them. Yesterday I asked that question.
The food is good.
Is it free?
The music is good. The environment is...
How can it be free? Or a pub?
Oh, but there's a pub series, so you know.
Yeah, it's a pub series. Normally, the whole idea is to drive fans to these places for them to consume as well and pay. Your best is the best
Mensah.
You get a discount,
get it for free.
But you're not going to get it for free. Your best bet would be have discounts on
you
drinks and food.
Why you bought? Why you bought? Give us business.
I'll follow too much. Well, coming up in business, slow rating increase in prices of non-food items push April inflation rate to 41.2%, the fourth consecutive decline for this year. And you hear from Unilever Ghana on what it's doing to help with its turnaround in operations as well as financials. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Alliance Life and Ghana Pay. Now, a significant decline in the rate at which the non-food items increased over the past month helped push April inflation rate to another record level. It reached 41.2%, the fourth consecutive drop for this year. There is more in this report.
Service data showed that the general price levels of non-food items dropped by almost 5% for the month of April 2023 compared to the same period for last year. It also revealed inflation rate for locally produced items witnessed some significant reduction from March 2023 to reach 38.2%, while that of imported items also went down from 51.6% to 43.1%. Some may link this to the impact of the Ghana cedi stability when it comes to the imported inflation. Housing prices, water, gas and other fuel were the biggest contributor to the inflation for the month of April. It was followed by furnishing, household equipment, and routine household maintenance. At the regional level, Greater Accra had the highest inflation rate of 28.1%. However, when you restrict yourselves to prices in April to March, we saw that the rate of increase was a little bit higher compared to the national numbers.
And so what this actually means is that the rate of increase in the general price levels of goods and services declined in April compared to the same period for last year. At the regional level, Accra recorded the highest inflation rate, so it could mean that the rate of increase was a little bit lower compared to the national data. Now, fast-moving consumer giant that is Unilever Ghana is projecting a positive turnaround in its financials for this year. It's coming on the back of some challenging times over the past 2 years. Managing Director George Owusu has been speaking to journalists at the news conference in Accra.
28 million Ghana cedis. Remember the figures: 150 million loss, 160 million loss, 50 million loss, broke even 2021, 15 million profit 2022, 28 million profit Q1 2023. So our P&L has turned. You agree? And then if you then look at our balance sheet, we still have turned the corner on the balance sheet. But because of the improved profitability, the balance sheet is actually stronger.
And Managing Director of Unilever Ghana, George Owusu and Sam. Now, President of the Ghana Association of Banks, John Ewa, has called on banks and fintechs in the country to collaborate to help deliver value to customers. Mr. Ewa tells Joy Business the current challenges facing the sector makes a strong case for more partnerships.
Looking into the future, banks are going to be more technology driven. A lot more of financial products are going to move to the digital arena. There are things that the fintechs are good at. They are more agile. They can do a lot more anticipation of the customer needs. So we need to balance that with the financial muscle of the banks and the infrastructure, strong infrastructure we have to deliver value to the customer. The ultimate beneficiary we should not lose sight of is the customer. To what extent can we make lives easier, better for the customer to transact safely within the digital arena? And we, the players within the ecosystem, we have a lot more work to do in that space.
John Ewa is the Chief Executive of the Ghana Association of Banks. So let's get back to a story about inflation. And so we're looking at the real reasons for the slowdown in the inflation rate and how the policy rate hikes in recent times impacted on these numbers. And what about those who are worried that the recent tax increases could reverse this trend? Let's hear from Professor Samuel Kobnenin. He's government statistician.
Let's keep in mind that all three variables that we've talked about do not have a direct input in the computation of consumer price index and rate of inflation. Taxes, monetary policy rate, and what is going to happen on the foreign exchange market only influence our consumer price index and rate of inflation indirectly. And it's one of the reasons why we thought today's presentation should highlight the inter and intra-regional variations that we are seeing. We feel that there is a lot that we have to do at the real sector perspective to complement whatever the central bank is doing to ensure that we bring down inflation. So it's our expectation that conversations would ensue around why consistently in the last 3 months we are seeing the Western North region recording the highest food inflation, why we're going to ask questions that in the last 7 months the Volta region has recorded the least food inflation. This is the conversation that should happen in order to help us better predict the indirect effect that we are only hypothesizing that it would affect inflation.
Professor Samuel Kobnenin, he is government statistician. If you turn attention to the stock market, those who have invested in those composite stocks, you've seen that it's picked up to a little over 10%, meaning that the returns are coming back to some good earning for those who have invested on the market. And that's all for business on Newsnight. Back to you, Evans and Emefa.
And that's all for News Night tonight, just in time for us to get to Oliver Twist for tonight's
Evans
game.
wants what?
Evans is buying
Free
me a
food.
drink. Now he's
Or
agreed that he's buying me a drink and food. So we're getting ready to go to
Thank you.
Oliver Twist.
Evans was asking about whether there will be free food. I asked him that. Anything free is very dangerous these days.
The whole idea about this series is to drive customers and get discounts.
Yes, he's talking about free food. Don't say, see, maybe he needs the free food. Because these days the economy is hard, so you know. So I heard the news. We don't have the IMF money yet, so Evans needs free food.
One Ghana cedi.
Anyway, but that's the bottom line.
I plead the faith on all this.
Yeah, I know.
Guys, we ready?
I know. AC Milan versus Inter Milan. Yes, we are ready.
So this is the derby.
It's called the Derby della Madonnina. Say after me.
The Derby della Madonnina.
That's right.
Solid.
That's right. That's right.
Solid.
That's
Solid.
right. Two teams that share a city.
Let Emefa give you one more try.
Wait.
Say it again.
Just mention it once.
It's called the Derby della Madonnina.
Derby della Madonnina.
There you go.
Didn't say solid.
Two teams.
Solid. I love that. Solid.
Two teams, one city, one venue, two matches.
San Siro. They all play their games from the San Siro.
Absolutely.
Right?
But today, the designated home team. The only difference is when the two teams play, the one that is designated the home team, you get the most tickets. That's the difference. So more of your fans will be in the stadium. So if you're the away team, if you're the designated away team, you get fewer tickets.
This is a signal to the good old days.
Yes.
When AC and Inter were the top team, not only in Italy, but
in Europe also.
Europe and
in Europe
arguably
also.
across the world.
Yeah.
They were top of the.
In fact, this is
the
the first semi-final meeting between the two teams since 2003.
Yeah.
So it's been a
Those
while.
were the days of some of the finest footballers.
Kaká and Inzaghi and Seedorf.
All those players there. So yeah, we're looking forward to this. Let's see if they